Namaste to everyone that is here today. My name is Preeti Chaudhary, and I am one of the three friendly hosts of yours. The other two are my dear friends Sandhya and Ria, who will be taking us through this afternoon today. Quick things, why are we here? We are here to talk about India's best workplaces in diversity and inclusion 2021. India's first and pioneering list in this particular domain out October 2021 with three special recognitions. All of those details in just a little bit. Just to put everything in context, this is a safe space and an inclusive space, people. So, all kinds of queries, questions, and comments are very welcome in the question and hour section of this webinar. Please keep your notebook and pen handy because trust me, you will have things to take down, which you will then sort of ask us about during the question and hour session. It is a two-way communication and dialogue. Please feel free to talk to us at that time. A very quick introduction about myself. My name is Preeti Chaudhary. I'm the founder of LinkedIn Local India, a speaker, a mentor, and a DNI ally and champion. My passions are for veteran corporate integration and also for LGBTQ plus integration into the corporate world. With that, let's get cracking. And for that, I will pass the baton to host number two, Ria Gala, who will start the proceedings for today. And we will see you by and by. Please sit back, relax, get those notepads and pen ready. Next 60 minutes is going to be a roller coaster ride. Over to you, Ria. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so sorry, just a minute, my screen is, I think, stuck. Um, so I'll just quickly give an introduction of myself. Meanwhile, I figure out why is the screen not working. So I have been with Great Place to Work for 2 years now, and I have specifically been in the DNI space for the six months. I was a relationship manager first, and now I look at clients and work in the DNI space. I'm a DNI advocate. So yeah, and that is about me. I will quickly reshare my screen, and I'll just take you guys through the agenda for the day, and also as we have our speakers Sandhya and Preeti, I will also be co-facilitating today. So the first agenda for the day is we will have a quick activity and a small surprise. We will talk about what are those subtle acts of inclusion that we have noticed during these challenging times. After that, we'll also look at some best practices from these diverse groups, as Preeti mentioned, veterans, LGBTQ, persons with disability. From there, we'll also look at what are the modalities of India's best workplaces in diversity and inclusion, what is the process for the assessment, and then how you can start your journey and move from intent to action and take your organizations to the next step in their inclusion journey. And as Preeti said, we will have a Q&A section. So please do feel to note down your questions and ask them in the Q&A section. So moving on swiftly to the activity for the day, the subtle acts of inclusion during the time of COVID. So the activity details are my colleague, Jinal, will be sharing a Jamboard link on the chat with you all. I'll share my screen soon on that as well. What we want you to do is open the Jamboard link and put down some acts of inclusion, either something that you have done in your organization or your organization is doing for you, or something that overall you have witnessed by reading the news. So for example, something that we are really happy about is India's first transgender doctor is going to be leading a vaccination center. And that is a very subtle act of inclusion during the time of COVID. It's big news, but they've not really made up anything. So we would want to know from you what your organizations are doing or something that you would have heard during this time of COVID-19 that categorized as inclusion for you. So yes, over to you guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Ria. If it's okay, I'm just going to share my screen so everyone knows how to use the Jamboard link. A quick check. Has everyone been able to log on to the link shared in the chat window? And is everyone able to access the chat window? Okay, thanks, Christo. Thanks, Arunima. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, Alma is having a problem with accessing it. Alma, Kavita, any specific challenge that it's throwing up? Okay, due to your security. So don't worry, you can chat out your responses on the chat and we'll pick them up from here. So if there's any specific, instance that you've either experienced or you've heard accounts or stories from colleagues in the workplace or outside of the workplace, it'll just be wonderful to start our conversation today on this experience of inclusion. No matter what our background is, or no matter which organization we come from or industry. For that, the Jamboard works very simple. I'm quickly going to check if you can. Yes, I see somebody's already started, drawing on the Jamboard. I think the only thing that you should not do is clear frame. Because then it erases all the responses that we have on the Jamboard. So just be wary of that. Yeah, but you can use an eraser and you can erase whatever you've written. What we'll use is the sticky note. So on the left panel below the arrow, you will see a little pad open up like a sticky note. And if you'd like to talk about your experience, maybe for some of us it was actually flexible working hours, or I also heard of another organization that actually said that no email, no meetings Wednesday, right? So whatever it is that you've heard of, yeah, or experience, we'd like to hear about that. So just click on it, type it out and save it, and then your notes will be here. Yeah, so we'll give you for some of you about 5 to 7 minutes. The ones who are not able to access the Jamboard, feel free to chat out your answers, even unmute yourselves and share. No problem at all. Yeah. Interesting. Oh, someone also has a no meetings Tuesday here, similar to the no meetings Wednesday. Okay. Yes, Preeti has shifted all her LinkedIn local events to the virtual space. A flexible vacation project this year, no upper cap on leaves. They can take their leaves as per their need. Lovely. I'm also going to check the chat simultaneously. Okay. Rohit, you can actually chat out your response here. Don't bother downloading Jamboard.
I've started writing actually, so enjoying it actually, just learning the app.
Okay. Work from home pledge as introduced by IBM, sensitizing leaders and managers to respect boundaries. May I know who wrote this? And, if you can share a little bit more about about the pledge, I'm sure it'll be fantastic learning for the group here. Hi, can the individual who spoke about the work from home pledge talk a little bit more about it?
And while Sandhya is facilitating this, a very quick reminder, if we are not camera shy, it'll be great to be actually talking to people when we get started onto the more sort of conversation part of this webinar. So thank you very much for putting your camera on so we can see all the faces and be actually talking to humans. Thank you.
You see, COVID leave, yes, that's something that's been extremely common. Trying a recruitment plan of hiring retired people for part-time work. Very interesting, and I think I haven't heard this one before either. It'll be nice if you can talk about it. I wish I'd asked you all to put your names below it, but unfortunately I missed that. Would you like to talk a little bit more about how you are planning to execute this?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. So we put a new model together called the insurance managers model, and we would be, looking at hiring ex-defense personnel who will have, again, a lot of contacts because the largest organization in the country is the Defense Forces. So we're trying to get in through that route and hiring ex-professionals who worked or served in the Defense Forces, but of course not at full time. We train them and they work part-time and they introduce us to the, the right people in the organization, and everybody benefits.
Lovely, thank you. Thanks for sharing, Kiran. So is this an active, veterans program largely, or this, you're also going beyond, say, the veteran community and could be any retired individual?
As long as they're linked to a large organization, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for sharing.
Sure.
And I also see another pledge, launching a digital balance pledge portal to share best practices among all the teams in the organization. Would you like to talk about this a little bit?
Sure, it's Krista here. So we are launching this portal because every team has come up with certain guidelines. For example, certain teams says they will not work after 7 o'clock, or they will offer some free time for employees to do learning. So we have something called as a team, that is drop everything and learn project. So how can employees really leverage that? So we thought of coming up with a portal wherein people can share their pledges, what their respective teams are doing, and more of an advocacy and promoting it for the organization.
Thank you. Thanks, Christo. And which organization are you from?
I'm from Finastra.
Okay, from Finastra. Okay, great. Lovely. And I see salary advance for people at Insti Quarantile. I'm going to quickly check if there are some chats. Online functions. Sorry. I had online functions to conduct with several teams remotely. Yes, Mandar, I think the events business went through a great deal of transformation, like a lot of other businesses. I remember when we had to do our 100 Best Workplaces Awards virtually for the first time, followed by our Diversity and Inclusion Summit, and then our annual conference. Lots of engagement activities like Fun Friday, showcasing talents. Yes, and I think this was also a year when we look back as Great Place to Work. We did see, even now, if you get onto our website, you'll be able to see a lot of best practices around COVID-19. And we've just completed our entire year of audits to arrive at India's 100 best workplaces. And that in itself shows us the kind of transformation that organizations, people practices have undergone. Gone are some, this was the first time that we were seeing that a lot of practices that were redundant were being removed, right? Otherwise, we would just see that a lot of practices are being added. Areas like supporting, caring, balancing started seeing a lot more focus when it came, understanding the needs of diverse groups and their needs in remote working environments. I remember when I was doing this particular, exercise with an IT organization, and the organization is based out of India as well as Santa Clara. I noticed something that came up which said lift. That was the only comment on the post-it. And I said, okay, what is this? What is this practice around? Because there was somebody indicating that this experience made the person feel included. And when we explored that a little more, we understood from the individual, she'd been in the organization for a very long time. It was nearly about 7 to 8 years that she'd been in the organization. About 4 or 5 years back, she went through a very serious illness, right? For which she had to undergo severe medical treatment. And then she had to come back to work. Work was for her on the second floor. And it was always the doctor's advice that, you need to stop taking the lift and move around and walk around as much as you can. Yeah. Her team members recognized that the first week she was back in office, she would take the lift and come up. She would not want to move outside her chair just because her body was not feeling fully capable of moving around, right? And what they started doing in the subsequent week is asking that lift person to stop the lift exactly 5 minutes before she would come into office. So the only thing she could do is walk up the stairs, right? And it's such an amazing feeling because for once, this whole experience of inclusion is upwards, right? Two, you never know what could come your way, right? And a very dear friend of mine, Divyanshu Ganatra, who also runs Adventures Beyond Barriers Foundation, often says that, there are only 2 types of people in this world, right? The ones who know what their disabilities are and the ones who don't, right? So I think having said that, Ria, I'm going to request you to share your screen. Thank you for all of these practices. It becomes very critical for us in the workplace, in the context of diversity and inclusion, to be able to factor in, policies, practices that enable people in the workplace. This particular example that I was talking about, I'm sure also had a series of, transformation of other people practices so that they could accommodate the needs of this individual once she was back in the workplace, right? I'm sure some of you have also had an opportunity to see the Microsoft 2020 Diversity and Inclusion Report. It's out in the public domain. And if you had to talk about how they've been able to include persons with disabilities in the workplace, one, it's great to see that today PW form part of 6% of their overall global workforce. They've been able to carry out some key business transformation projects, be it, over Teams, the whole piece around live captioning, a whole aspect around gaming that they've been able to launch. So they're also starting to see the advantage of being able to improve neurodiversity as well in the workplace. Yeah. And as Great Place to Work, yes, we'd like to identify organizations who are doing that, and also encourage and set role models, by recognizing them. I'm also going to hand it over to Preeti. Preeti, of course, has been working with the veteran community extensively, right? Preeti, would you like to share a little bit about what you've heard organizations do in this space, and what truly differentiates the ones who are making an impact?
Absolutely, and thank you for that, Sandhya. So very quickly, to put things into context, my dear friends over here, veteran integration in India is still in its nascency. Unlike the US, which has got a very robust veteran inclusion and integration program, we are sort of starting where US used to be probably 25, 30 years back. Having said that, the first inroads have been actually made by the larger US corporations that have Indian branches. But for the last 3 or 4 years, what I have seen and done in this field is absolutely grassroots level, wherein have gone and spoken to a lot of veterans in different phases of their transition. Some of them serving, some of them while in transition, some of them who are into corporate jobs post-transition. And it's only the one thing that comes out very clearly, that there exists a gap between the corporates and the veterans. And it is not because of any other factor other than the corporates do not have much information about the veterans, and the veterans, by virtue of being in a defense sort of a job wherein you cannot be part of any social media, did not have ready-made networks and people to fall back upon when they transitioned. So to bridge that gap is what we've been working a lot in this space, and there have been actually some very tangible efforts. The point is that the veterans carry so many leverageable skills. They are tenacious, they are punctual, the work ethics are, at par or even surpass than maybe a lot of us people, they have sort of willingly made or were ready for the supreme sacrifice while they were into the service. So why cannot those skills be leveraged into the corporate workspace? And that is exactly the conversations have started. The first steps have started. A lot of people have taken veterans and started mentoring them. And as we go along from now until October, we'll be disseminating a lot of other information of how having a veteran on your workforce makes a huge positive impact, because they're absolutely the best people to work with, for work for, and to walk side by side. With that, for the third pillar, I would invite Ria and talk about the next special recognition. It's over to you, Ria. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Preeti, and great sharing by both of you. So the next recognition, the next recognition that we have is gender equal workplaces. So we all know that the Tata, Mahindra Group, and Godrej are doing amazingly well when it comes to the inclusion of LGBT QI plus community at the workplace. More so that Godrej currently, I just went on their website, Godrej Culture Labs, and they've actually come out with an entire manual of how you can, include a transgender in an Indian workplace, because the context of an Indian workplace will be different from an American workplace or a, Canadian workplace. So definitely check it out. It's something really interesting of how, they've put on all the guidelines of how you can include a transgender at your workplace. But something that I really like is, apart from these, big organizations or these big groups, even other organizations, for example, NatWest Group, they were a part of the India's Best Workplaces for Women's list last year. They did something really incredible. They started something called a transgender internship program. And the whole reason they started this program was not about, inclusion, or they really did want to integrate transgender in the workplace, and they wanted to get them ready for the corporate work culture. So they started this paid internship program, and they conducted interviews with the transgender people to understand their socioeconomic background, their education qualifications, the skills that they possess, and the skills that would need fine-tuning. And along with that, they also did sensitization workshops with managers and peers who would be working closely with these transgenders. So these small steps have been taken by a lot of organizations in India. And if you, for example, Akamai has Pride ERG, where they look at all the structural changes that would require to enable an LGBTQ person to feel like themselves at the workplace. So all the organizations are slowly taking those steps for LGBTQ inclusion, and so this is our third recognition, which is having gender equal workplaces. So I'll just quickly talk about the last day to register. So all of these recognitions will come off. So we have an assessment that the organizations need to go through. And the last day to register for all of these recognitions is 15th of June, 2021. So these are like all the special recognition, but we do have a flagship recognition, which is also, sorry, I think, just give me 1 minute. There is some issue with the deck. I'll just try and share it. Yes. So this is our flagship recognition, India's Best Workplaces in Diversity and Inclusion. And we'll be talking about, how to, the entire process of it, how to participate, what are the eligibility criteria, what are the outcomes. So yes, first part is the framework. So let's move on to the framework, our workplace inclusion framework. So we look at two lenses when we when we talk about workplace inclusion. The first lens is the employee experience, or and how employees are experiencing inclusion at their workplace. This is a behavioral lens, which means it is driven majorly by the behaviors of people in the organization. And we look at three major things under this employee experience survey. First being the leadership intent. This is one of the most important part of any inclusion journey. That means your leadership has to believe in workplace inclusion. They have to believe that you need to make your workplace more inclusive. The second one is the managerial support, which means that after the leadership believes in it and they say that, yes, we want to make our workplace more inclusive, we aim to make our workplace more inclusive, and after the HR lays down all the policies, it's very important the managers are also aligned on that idea, because at the end of the day, they are the one who would be providing that experience to their team members. And the third part is the workplace culture, which is, overall the culture of the organization, how open you are to being an inclusive organization, and also the peer-to-peer interactions that you have daily. Because camaraderie, as we say, is very, very important at a workplace. And similarly, a peer-to-peer interaction, if there is unconscious bias, it will lead to people from diverse group not feeling like themselves at the workplace. So the employee survey, some things about the employee survey or the employee experience survey is that it has 35 statements. And we cover all employees if the organization's employee strength is less than 500. If your employee strength is more than 500, we have a statistically valid sample. And this sample does cover all the people that represent on the diverse groups. Again, if they are less than 500, all of them will be covered in the survey. The second lens that we look at while assessing your workplace inclusion culture is the inclusive people policies. This is more of a structural change that the organization will get in. So how are you changing the structure of your organization to make it more inclusive? And this is something that the team who's working on this project will be submitting. We look at inclusive people policies across 5 areas, starting with access. So how accessible are you making your organization, which means about hiring to infrastructure changes that you would make in your organization. Second is integrate. So after you hire employees from diverse groups, how are you ensuring that you're integrating them into the organization? For example, having sensitization programs, talking to managers about the about specific needs of an employee, etc. The third being support. So how are you supporting them at your workplace? So for example, having gender neutral POSH policy, different grievance redressal unit to tackle various problems that these diverse groups might be facing at the workplace, or as simple as having health insurance which is gender neutral, or same-sex partner benefits. Then the fourth one is develop. So how are you developing your diverse groups at the workplace? So it's not about hiring, for example, hiring PWDs and keeping them at one level. It's also about developing them in the organization. So how are you doing the mentorship program, training programs, looking at special needs, special requirements that they might have to progress at your workplace? And the fifth one being enabling their success. which means that it's about having fair promotion policies in your workplace, and having unconscious bias trainings to ensure that specifically while promotions, they are not looked at differently. And it's also about celebrating. So it's, sorry, yeah. So it's also about celebrating. So not about celebrating Women's Day or Pride, Pride Month in your workplace, but it's also about celebrating their successes. So celebrating their promotion, celebrating, for example, their first sale or any of the work they're doing, celebrating their work anniversaries. So yeah, and then all of this at the end of the day creates an impact, which is larger. So we also look at the impact that all of this is creating at the workplace. Yeah, anything, Sandhya, that you would like to add here?
Yes, just one thing. When we talk about these inclusive policies, I think differentiator here is that not only do we look at how does your D&I philosophy extend to employees who are internal, but we also look at how your philosophy extends to people who you interact with externally, right? It could be your newer markets, new geographies. It could be your suppliers. It could be talent. It could be your communities that the organization is operating in. So this particular policy, it works like an inventory. Basic yes, no questions. If you do respond with a yes, we try and dig a little deeper to understand if there is a structure. And if we've seen a structure in your policy, then what is the outcome or the impact of that particular policy. So all your policies are largely studied for intent, which is whether the policy exists or not. 2, structure, and 3, impact. Yeah. We'll take in more questions, so make sure that you're making a note of all your questions on your notepad, on your phone, whatever you have to type out. Over to you, Ria.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I would like to add is we all know that all the organizations first would start with a structural change, and something. So first you would do the structural changes in your organization, and then it would take some time to translate into an employee experience. So in case you are one of those organizations that is doing those structural changes right now, or have been in the progress of changing your workplace, and you think that, okay, maybe it will take some more time for us to see the translation to employee experience, but we do have the structure in place. We also do something called the Inclusive People Policy Certification, which means that your organization, if you have inclusive people policies, can be certified for having inclusive people policies. So that is something that we also do. But we can deep dive into that a little bit later, maybe in the Q&A section, if you have any questions around it. Yeah. Okay. So then also look at the methodology. So methodology for the recognition. So first, so basically this is about how will we then come out after the organizations participate, how will we then actually come out with the list? So how are we planning to take out our list, and how are we planning to recognize the organizations? So first, I would like to talk about India's Best Workplaces in Diversity and Inclusion, our flagship list. So as we're looking at employee survey and people policies, we will give each of this a 50% weightage. So your scores on the employee survey and your scores on inclusive people policies will be given 50% weightage each, while deriving the list for India's Best Workplaces in Diversity and Inclusion. And when we talk about inclusive workplaces for persons with disabilities and inclusive workplaces for veterans, both being separate lists, we're going to look at overall representation from each of the diverse group. We haven't put down a particular number to this representation because we know that India has started becoming inclusive, so we do not want to restrict. But we would definitely look at what percentage of representation do you have when it comes to persons with disability and veterans at your workplace. And then we'll also look at the inclusive people policies that you have for these diverse groups. groups while recognizing a company for these recognitions. For gender equal workplaces, what we look at is the inclusive people policies that you have at your workplace to ensure that employees are able to be themselves at the workplace. We understand that coming out at a workplace or coming out at home is a very personal choice. And so we would look at representation that we have for women and transgenders at the workplace. Apart from that, we wouldn't look at another group. If you have people who are out, that will be great. And if that is a data, something that you can share with us, that will be great. But we also usually look at your inclusive people policies and how, no matter what the sexual orientation of an employee may be, how are you making your workplace as inclusive as possible for them, and they can truly feel like themselves at their workplace. And that is something that we'll be looking at while recognizing organizations under gender equal workplaces category. Anything, Sandhya, that you would like to add here?
So we call the gender equal workplaces really ungendering the workplace in a way.
Yes.
And I think that's the intention, to say, how is it that, we can create workplaces that are accepting as well as in the same time enabling individuals, irrespective of, where in the gender spectrum or sexual spectrum they are, right? How everybody in the organization is sensitized, understands aspects of sex, gender, how are they different. People feel respected, people feel safe in the workplace to be themselves. And that's the kind of ecosystem we're talking about. So when Ria was talking about NatWest program on the transgender internship, right, it just didn't mean for them to pilot something like this in one department. It just didn't mean, okay, guess what, we have a bunch of positions that are open, and we've been looking at the talent market, so there are a few transgenders that we've been able to shortlist for the position. It actually goes beyond. You'll need to start thinking about the entire socialization process. They ran an entire program called Mythbusters, right, which was a way of really breaking the entire ice when it comes to people feeling uncomfortable about certain very fundamental questions that they could even have about how they should be interacting with some of these groups that we've been isolated for a very long time. And it also reminds me of my own experience of doing the Tata Mumbai Marathon with a person with visual impairment, right? And when it was our practice runs, how you would communicate, how you would inspire, how you would motivate, and you would end up saying all of those silly things because you're just not used to that kind of interaction. And I think also creating that space to say, it's okay, and we're learning, and the entire process is we acknowledge that we may not know everything, but we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to be more inclusive, and that's the space that we're hoping organizations can offer from when it comes to respecting individuals across gender and sexual spectrums in the workplace. Yes, back to you, Ria.
Thank you, Sandhya. So that was about our framework and methodology for all the different recognitions and also for India's best workplaces in diversity and inclusion. Now I would actually like to talk about the eligibility criteria and how, what is the eligibility to participate. So the first eligibility criteria is you need to have minimum of 100 employees on your payroll. And the second eligibility criteria is out of the X number of employees that you might have, 10% of those employees should at least belong to the historically excluded groups, which can be women, persons with disabilities, LGBTQ communities, veterans, people returning from a career break, etc., etc. I think we also can look at people with different kinds of disabilities, and it can also be people from other excluded groups, for example, backward class people, etc. So that is something that we look at, and this is the eligibility criteria to participate for India's best workplaces in diversity and inclusion in all the three other special recognitions as well. The outcomes of the assessment. So I would like to now talk about the outcomes of the assessment, because this is not only about recognition. There are other outcomes to the entire process that you would be taking for the recognition, that is the employee survey and the inclusive people policy submission. The first outcome is you would understand what is the ROI of your D&I initiative. So how are your D&I initiatives working at the workplace? Like, are they working, not working? Do you need course corrections? So that is something that this assessment will help you understand. The second thing is you will be able to benchmark with your industry peers. So, with different organizations, different kind of industries coming in, you will be able to have an overall benchmarking of what organizations overall, irrespective of the industry, are doing in this space, and also some benchmarks industry-wise as well. You would be able to also get like actionable recommendations, not only on your employee experiences. So how are your employees experiencing the inclusive workplace culture and all the initiatives that you're taking, but you would also get to know about the inclusive people policy. So where you are right now in each of the areas that we spoke about. So from access to enable success, where are you on each of these areas, and which area do you need to work on more? So that is something that you will also get to know. And as I also mentioned, the inclusive people policy certification. So in case you are one of those organizations that have started with the structural changes and think that it might take some time to for it to translate into an employee experience, something that you can do and look at it as a part of the inclusive people policy certification. And yeah, the last date for all of it, as mentioned earlier, is the 15th of June 2021. So that is the last date to register for this recognition or any of the 3 special recognitions as well. Anything, Sandhya, that you would like to add?
Yeah, I think just to summarize it, we're saying 1, there is a fundamental assessment. It studies the behavioral aspects of the workplace. It also studies how organizations have been able to factor for the needs of diverse groups through their structures and policies. And as an outcome of that assessment, the organization, 1, will be eligible to have their people practices audited and certified by Great Place to Work, which will, which is really a badge certifying that the workplace has inclusive people policies. The second part of the recognition would be if it'll be a percentile rank once we've assigned the 50% weightage to each of the parameters, which is going to help us identify India's best workplaces in diversity and inclusion. We also have 3 subcategories, which are largely an outcome of information that is part of the same assessment. 1 for veterans, inclusive workplaces for persons with disabilities, and we're also looking at gender equal workplaces. Yeah. Needless to say, there are a host of support insights, which means that while recognition is one part of, in case you're an organization who'd like to deep dive into this feedback, there are different layers of reporting, insights, action planning, and support that Great Place to Work has been rendering to organizations in this space. And that's also something that can be, customized based on the need of your organization.
Yes. So with that, thank you so much, Sandhya. We will be moving to our Q&A section. So I hope you have your questions ready. So moving on to the Q&A sections, you all can unmute and ask a question, raise your hand to ask the question. Alternatively, you can also post them in the chat, and I'll hand it to Preeti and Sandhya for this section.
Thank you very much, Riya. And with that, let's do a little bit of exercise. People, if we can have the cameras on, then we'd rather talk to people. Thank you, Rohit, for that. Thank you, Mandar, for showing yourself. Anybody else? Oh, there goes Kiran. Welcome, Kiran. Any more people? Come on, let's talk to people and not tiles. Hi, Kiran. Thank you, Shivi. Here you are. And here's Jovita. Come on, people, let's have some more people, because before the question and answer will start, I'm going to ask you to do something, okay? So if you're ready, all the people that are on the camera, if you're ready, let's get this. Take your right hand. Please take your right hand up. Yeah, take it to your back. And give yourself 3 pats. Well done, you. Well done. For listening and paying attention so far. We totally appreciate it. And now Sandhya and I are here for any and every kind of question that you have. Just to reiterate once again, 1 master list, 3 special recognitions, and so many other things in between. So shoot away. Please unmute yourself. Absolutely okay to, in fact, even better to, if you ask your questions yourself, because we'd rather have a conversation than chat and do those kind of conversations. So who's going first? And this question is for who, please? Come on, let's hear it.
I think also, Preeti, there's a little bit of a static. I don't know whether it's from the mic or.
I think it's all the perils of working from home and different
I know. As long as I think everybody can just make do with a little bit of a sound for now. I know, Aman, you pointed it out earlier, but I think that's where the noise is coming from. I hope we can live with that for this session. Okay, open to questions or clarifications the group may need. We also understand that some of you have joined this with an intent to either start your own is in D&I or within your organizations, or also compete for honors with and benchmark with organizations across your industry. Open to any questions or clarifications you may have.
I think I'll start if you give a chance, please. So first of all, thank you each and everyone who has organized this. And Ria's voice was so sweet that I was, falling down. It was very soft enough. So it's a good thing. But so I have enrolled for such a session for the first time. From last 1 year, we are just taking knowledge of everything that we have been doing in our daily jobs. And this is a different session. But because I've heard it for the first time, I would like to read more and understand what you people do and how we can I can tell my HR or my people who are trying to make the organization great, and how you people can help us, or how does this goes actually, because I kept reading about you people, LinkedIn, it pops up every time something good that happens. So I think that's how I got enrolled, but I'd like to know more. And again, this session would be a little less time centric, so we can take it separately, I think, that way, because I have no knowledge about it. So
Sandhya, you want to take that very quickly, please, and then we can move on to the next
one. Yes, Rohit, happy to set up time with you and your team to understand where you are in this journey, and I think recommend something that will be a little more suitable for your team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Rohit. And it is a conversation, remember, people. So the more we talk, the more we can get to know each other. So who's going next, please? Rohit took the plunge. Who's on next?
So I'll want to ask something. When we spoke of diversity and inclusion, we spoke of transgender and veterans. Okay. So which are the other categories of people you feel we should include in the inclusion program for an organization? Women, though, I mean, it's okay. Like now the entire organization understands that women are part of the organization. I mean, they are needed. But when you speak of transgenders and some other categories of people, what are the other people you feel should be included?
Lovely. I think great question, Alma. And so if I have to give you a technical answer, yeah, and talk about historically excluded groups. That's a terminology that is common when it comes to diversity and inclusion as an area. And as a D&I practitioner myself, I'm largely torn between, I think, asking organizations to recognize the needs for groups and also acknowledging intersectionality, right? So I'll start off with the technical answer, Alma. The technical answer is it's largely any group that we do not see as participative in the workforce as the predominant or the majority group, right? In India, it has been women. And Alma, like you rightly pointed out, gender diversity has been, I think, on the agenda for a very long time. A lot of organizations that have worked on it. However, we continue to dwindle. We are moving down 24 down to now 22% when it comes to gender representation in the country. So yes, there's a lot more that we can do there. The second, I think the other groups that we talk about are persons with disability. And while we see a lot of individuals with, say, locomotor disability, visual impairment, individuals with hearing impairment, cognitive, what we refer to as neurodiversity, are also, individuals with Down syndrome. You would have seen Lemon Tree's videos and their ability to hire neurodiverse individuals and also make them very successful in the workplace. Yeah. So that's probably another group of, individuals that one can look at. The third one we did speak about was individuals who belong to the LGBTIQ community, transgenders. We started seeing a lot of work around opportunity deprived Indians. So individuals who come from the orphanages background, who, would have not had as much exposure, as much skilling required. And some of you do understand that, the orphanages really ask you to move out after you're 18. And this ends up, putting them in a very tight spot of how can I suddenly get employed? Lemon Tree cracked into that as well. They started internship programs for, individuals who were 16, 17, so that they could learn the ropes of real work with some kind of stipend, which meant that they were already ready to hire and grow by the time that they were 18. Yeah. You also have, any kind of victims from different attacks. So we started seeing a lot more of integration in the workplace. There's a whole flux of the non-metro metro kind of influence. And this right now is very critical, especially when we look at the hospitality sector and when we're looking at our industry. When we look at hospitality industry and our interactions with the hospitality industry, there is a lot of groupism that could exist just between those who come from the bigger towns and those who don't. So, inclusion there is extremely important. So Alma, these are, some of the veterans which we've already spoken about and you are aware of as well. That's a group. We have how many, Preeti? About 50 to 65,000 veterans who retire every year.
So we have about 40 to 45,000 people transitioning from the services to life after the forces, and they tend to be anybody that is served for up to 10 years to the next batch is after 21 years of service, and then the one after is superannuation, so after 30-35 years of service. And then everybody is bereft because there is not a bridge that sort of puts people together. But then again, needles have started moving, things are happening. It all boils down to people like you and me in the end to actually make things happen. So here we are. And with that, Aman has a question. Please unmute yourself and go for it, Aman. Thank you.
Sorry, Aman, before you come in, can I just share a closing remark? So Alma, if you ask me who all should be included, I would say everyone needs to be included. Because there are so many invisible traits of diversity. It could be our personalities, it could be look, it could be the way we talk, it could be our educational background, our socioeconomic status that may sometimes not always be very visible. Yeah. And our framework is built to look at inclusion in a holistic manner. The survey actually has 4 or 5 statements which capture the most common biases, whether it is beauty bias, whether it's language bias in the workplace, right? So it goes beyond just the very conventional aspects of visible diversity and inclusion. I hope I've been able to, it was a long answer, but I hope I've been able to create some clarity.
Sorry about that, Aman and Sandhya. Finally, then over to you, Aman. I didn't realize you had something to add, but here we are, all things out, and it's over to you finally, Aman. Thank you.
No, thanks. I actually did want to wait for Sandhya to finish because I think what Sandhya was giving was a very comprehensive answer. While she was apologizing for the long answer, there is no short answer to a subject like this one. And, while she did mention intersectionality, unfortunately, she didn't have the time to talk about how that works. And that's a separate conversation. But I just wanted to add to what Sandhya added beautifully. Alma, one of the things that you'll notice is that in a country like ours, there are historically disadvantaged groups. But even when we actually do a listing of all the people who need to be included, a lot of us shy away from even going there. We mention disability, veteran, gender, LGBTQ. We will mention everything. We are afraid of using the word Dalit. We're afraid of using the word Muslim. So part of the answer is right. Everybody who has faced discrimination, we all have. You, me, in small measure, all of us face discrimination. There are some people who have faced discrimination on a daily basis, and they've done it for 7 centuries. And part of the problem is that we hesitate to mention them, And since I don't suffer from hesitation, I just thought I'll take the opportunity to call this out.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, my dear friend. You are always vocal and visible with all of your convictions. So thank you very much for that. And
Aman, if I could maybe just add another piece, I think even at Great Place to Work, I personally have been following Dalit feminism for a very long time, at least the works in that space. And we did get a lot of pushback from legal because we have our self-disclosure on our survey, but we've still gone ahead with it because we've left it as a self-disclosure, and we put it out there saying, and because it's not an uncommon thing in workplaces, there's a lot of context that the individuals carry from the social conditioning that they've had over so many years.
If I may jump in, Sandhya, sorry, but you had a case at Cisco. There were some over 100 Indian origin Dalit engineers who actually filed, and you now have a case of state of California versus Cisco lawsuit going on for systemic discrimination, right? We are maybe 10 years away from a case like that, but full marks to the state of California, Great Place to Work, for actually taking a call on these things, because if we don't, we can't change it, right?
For that, Aman.
Yeah, here I would like to just say that even we have legislations which support women, Dalits. It's all there in place. The only thing, it has to be implemented.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sandhya. No, okay. Right. So I was just going to say that, we are sort of coming very close to a close time. So we would be able to take maybe just one or more questions. If anybody has any, please unmute yourself and ask them away. Otherwise, Ria, could we please have the screen share so that while we are talking, we can also see how we can be in touch with Sandhya for any deeper dives, for reaching out, for doing any kind of sensitizations or anything else in our workplace in the run-up from now until October. So thank you for that. And the floor is open to the next person that would like to ask anything at all. Please do. Anyone? In which case, maybe Sandhya, if you have any more parting comments or information to give out, I think we can do that, and then we could sort of close this off. And I think there is something that you would like to share, Sandhya, isn't there? Ria had prepared something. It's over to you.
Thanks, Preeti. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I think one part is the entire assessment and the idea of being able to benchmark organizations that are able to do great work in this space. The second piece would be Great Place to Work does a lot of support work when it comes to diversity and inclusion. Apart from talent acquisition and working with affirmative hiring, so being able to actually give you a pool of candidates, I think we do pretty much everything in the space of diversity and inclusion. We have Include Ed, which are our sensitization workshop series, which are largely for leaders internally, for people managers, so that they understand, what it takes to have a change mindset and understand nuances of, interactions in the workplace that are inclusive. We do run sessions for D&I champions, council members, folks from the HR team that we've started seeing are taking up more responsibilities of diversity and inclusion, but don't know how to really approach it. Unfortunately, very few formal courses in this space as well. So how does all of this apply in the organizational context? That's something that we're also open to doing. If any of you are keen, post this session, Ria is any which way is going to send you some of our best practices that we've curated along with an acknowledgement note. Feel free to write back if you think you want to set up a further meeting to understand a little bit more about this. But I genuinely want to say thank you for your time. And I know it's not an easy time for any one of us today in this country. However, I think very heartened by the citizenship and citizens showing up over the last couple of weeks for people they know, people they don't know. And I think that in itself is a positive ray of hope that we're going to be able to come out of this situation stronger. Yeah, over to you, Ria, Preeti. Thank you so much for helping us host this session, and Gina.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandhya.
And before we actually go off, it is all over to Ria because she has something really nice, a very quick snippet to share. And then I will come back and propose our vote of thanks. My dear Ria, it's all yours.
Yes. So I'll just quickly share my screen. We prepared something really small just to tell you what we do here at Great Place to Work. And also some things that, can help you as well. So, yeah.